Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy D Mike, the creator. Hey, I want to talk to you guys about a multitude of things. It is based on my journey and also bringing awareness to this thing. And one of the things is really overcoming um, narcissist environments, government PSYOPS, like MK Ultra, gate programs, um, remote neural monitoring. Um, Gang stalking. These are specifically for targeted individuals, people with higher frequencies or higher vibrations, like really just higher consciousness. And you have another one would be you have like noise tactics, where with the mongering, fear mongering, all that stuff though. But really, I just wanted to like tell my story about it, um, how I got through it, overcame it, and it's still a process, day to day process, right? But really, it's just to find a solution for it, right? Opposed to talking about the problem, right? Because this is actually that's why I want to bring awareness to it, because a lot of people don't really know about it, and a lot of people that do go through these things, they get silenced, and some people don't really make it out of it, sadly enough, because these things it's more of a it's like a spiritual and a psychological warfare. Had to make sure my mic is on because I already did this one time. It was a 30-minute conversation. The mic wasn't even on. But it's like a spiritual and psychological warfare that these people put individuals through. And it's all for their energy, right? Because we all know narcissists, they are energy harvesters. Some people call it like energy vampires, right? We all heard of those terms before, though. But like I say, like it's really to bring awareness to my story about it, right? I had two. Last year, I left my narcissistic environment. It was my roommate and also a girl I was talking to, and came to find out she was talking to a girl. It was crazy. It was interesting, but um, I left because I was in I was going through a spiritual warfare with the mind. I was in a fearful state. Like I said, I was using these fear mongering, these tactics, trying to instill fear within me, using my energy for their gain. They were just power hungry, money hungry, greed, right? And they like I said, they try to get you in this spider web of things to where you become dependent on them, right? That's really the goal. They want you to become dependent on them so you can be their main source, their main energy source, right? Like I said, these for target individuals. Um, People call them chosen ones. Really, it's just higher conscious people, right? Gotta keep making sure my mic is on because I don't want to keep talking if you can't hear the message. But so last year when I left, came back home, and these individuals, these are government psyops, right? Um, with the gang stalking, and like it's a lot of it's a multitude of things too. So like if you have a question in the comments, drop them below so I can actually dive more deeper if I don't touch on it right here though. Like I said, it's going to be a loaded conversation. But when I left, like I came back home. I'm from Alabama. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I realized that you know, these things they will start like using like smear campaigns. They'll defame your name. I lost 3 jobs within 6 months. I never got fired before in my life. Um, Up until 2 years ago, I was like it was very interesting. Um, some might say otherworldly, and didn't know what was going on. And these people, this guy, like I said, it was my roommate. He helped me out, but it was helped me out for him. You know, a friend introduced me to him, and then this whole thing happened. I'm like, was he even my friend? But sort of realized a lot of things out of my life. Um, was believe this was supposed to happen a long time ago before I even came back to Nashville. But that's besides the point. The point is that these things happen here on a very consistent basis that most people don't know about, right? A lot of people get silenced for this, right? And I will not allow my voice to be silenced because of fear, because they want you to be in a fearful state. They want to, all right, sorry, my phone went on 20%, but they want to instill fear into you. Like I said, so you can become dependent on them. They want to deregulate your nervous system, right? When they deregulate your nervous system, like I said, you become in this state where, a lot of people on the outside, when they look in or they might see, they view people as crazy. That people call it psychosis, right? You go through a spiritual psychosis, and one of the things that happens is either you could naturally go through this spiritual awakening or psychosis, or people pull you into it, right? I was pulled into it, and naturally going through it is just like whenever you start looking around your environment and start asking deeper questions, and like your veil falls, right? Um, your mask falls, and you start seeing around you like the game, how it is played, a lot of people lying, like there was a lot of lack of authenticity, right? And that was the environment I was in, right? It was kind of coerced, like it was kind of staged. A lot of actors. That's really what it is. A lot of people acting, right? And I was pulled into it for people's gain, so I can be dependent on them, and I was for a little bit. Right? They want you to unearth yourself, unalive yourself, and I was at that point. I wanted to unalive myself, right? And I started seeing the mask, and I was like, "How can I get out of this?" Started talking, speaking out loud, staying silent um, to them. That's how I got out, and then started speaking to God, Source, Creator, just talking out loud to myself, and I finally got the answer, right? And a quote they people say is, the devil can hear your words out loud, but God can hear your thoughts, right? Um, think about that too, right? It's the inner you that you're talking to. That's so much power with that. And but they want to deregulate your nervous system, and they do that by, like I say, these tactics. They're very, very precise, right? They try to corner you, and like I say, these are government psyops too that they do this. MK Ultra, the Gate program, look into those if you haven't heard about it. But they use like DEW, direct energy weapons. Look those up if you haven't heard about it. The fear mongering, fear tactics. One of the fear tactics they used for me. My old roommate, he was in a biker gang, so whenever at that time they would use like bikes, they'll use like loud noises. You might even hear like loud engines roaring, trying to scare you. It's a whole thing. They try to, like I say, use these things to bring you in a fearful state because it triggers you, right? Those things are designed, programmed to trigger you, right? And then once I'll get there a little bit though. Once you overcome it, there's a uh, confirmation, because normally whenever when I'm talking out loud, speaking my truth, there's like it's not a vulture, that is a buzzard over here. Hopefully it can fly behind me so you can see it. Oh, there's one above me. You can't see it. It's two actually. But yeah, once I start speaking my truth, that's when that happens. Those are my signals that I'm in my right lane. But um, use those for revenue engines, those noise tactics to, like I say, try to scare you, all that stuff. It's an interesting, right? And they'll actually place people in your environment to try to, like with the remote neural monitoring, look that up as well. They'll try to place people in your environment, and they will say things you might have thought, say things to provoke you, to get you in a lower energy state, right? And one thing to think about too is how to overcome these things is to not allow them to get in your energy. You overcome it by not responding to their energy, their frequency, right? They're in a lower frequency, and they want you to stay in a lower frequency. This is how this reality is run in a low fearful frequency. Look at the news. That's why they pound negative propaganda to us to get you in that lower state, to keep you in that lower state, and they use that energy to keep doing what they're doing, right? That's how it works, okay? So they want to deregulate your nervous system to where you're in fight or flight, you're in survival mode. That's the main thing, right? Because once you're in that mode, that's where they start feeding off of you to get the things that they want to do, right? Greed, all that. Look at the seven deadly sins. You see it out here in our reality. It's normalized, right? But we talk about not doing it. It's normalized. That's just the reality that we're in, right? So how to regulate your nervous system though. This is very big, right? What I did for me, what works for me might not work for you. First of all, let's talk about that. Everything that I do might not work for other people, so it's up to oneself to trial and error, do things differently to see what works for you, and then use that to your gain, right? One thing that worked for me is I found meditation. When I started meditating and just being still, listening to my own thoughts, trying to figure out why I thought certain thoughts, that worked for me, right? Then I was able to reverse engineer my life to figure out how did I get to believing certain beliefs, started asking people questions, um, started finding out the real me, started healing my inner child. That's the big thing right there. Heal your inner child. Go within, ask your inner child. Forgive yourself for uh, for allowing your inner child to be neglected. So, because that's sometimes that's what I'm an empath. So empaths, we naturally attract these narcissistic entities, people, right? And keep in mind that don't get mad at the person, right? Forgive them, love them, but you can always, like I said, I just distance myself, right? Because having hate in your heart is not overcoming it. It's getting to their frequency, their level, right? And I'm not saying that people are below or above, but it's just some people they hurt others because they were hurt before, and they want you to feel the way they felt. That's really the reality of it. Okay, so healing your inner child. That's very key, very big, right? Regulating your nervous system by I regulated mine by meditating, by journaling, nature therapy. Go out into nature. Be out in nature. Our reality is a recreation of nature. Man is trying to recreate, copy nature, right? If you look at everything, you'll see it, right? And be still. Just be. Get away from technology for a little bit. Understand your mind. Understand that you're not your thoughts. We have been pounded with a lot of things since growing up as kids, with news to get us thinking certain things, right? You're not your career, right? Your consciousness experiencing life in this vessel, in this body, right? So meditating, journaling, talk to yourself, right? Get your own validation, not others' validation, because your validation is the most important. Um, like I say, nature therapy, those are key things how to regulate your nervous system, right? And once you do that, um, you will become more aware of your surroundings, right? You can be able to see patterns. You can be able to find more peace within the chaos because they want you to live in a chaotic state, right? Like I say, some people don't really overcome these things. I always got to keep checking, make sure my mic is on. Some people don't overcome these things, right? And that's very sad. It's normalized, right? And people are plants. Some people are like, if once you get to the state, if you haven't seen the Matrix, it's actually a good example for the Matrix, or even I haven't watched the Truman Show. I haven't watched that, but like that's pretty much what it is, right? They tell you in plain sight, universal law. They can't hurt you physically, but they try to hurt you mentally or psychologically, right? Spiritually, because they can't physically harm you. They want to get you to harm yourself, right? Get you to unalive yourself, or get you in a state where they even drive you to homelessness, right? Or even in a psych ward where they want you to be seen as crazy, but you're not, right? Your truth is true, right? And this is why a lot of people are silenced because they don't want to speak up about this, right? And It's one thing that people need to hear about, need to learn about, need to see about. And I don't want people to go through this things that I went through, that I've seen, right? And most times it comes from people that loves you the most. True enough, right? Sadly enough too. But it happens. You can just love them from afar. Sometimes people are not able to distance themselves from the situation, but like I said, this is mainly for people that's gone through it, and sometimes you can't, like I say, distance yourself from these situations, but you can be able to exist in these dark places because once you learn how to regulate your nervous system, right, then you can be able to, like I say, overcome these things. And another solution would would be is to give me a second. Keep in mind that I did this whole thing earlier for 30 minutes and the mic wasn't even on, by the way. So I had got caught on this one point as well. But regulating your nervous system. Next would be, once you do these things, you pour that energy back into yourself, right? And that I kind of touched on that too with the last one. Would be like the inner child, and just being able to, instead of look outside of yourself, like look for external validations, look within. Go within. That's the key, is to go within you, because you have all the answers, right? You have all the answers. We have all the answers we need, we want. Reverse engineer your past, see how you got to that point, and first off, forgive yourself. That's the main thing. Forgive yourself, and also give yourself grace. Forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace are very, very key things, right? Um, because sometimes we get mad at ourselves for allowing ourselves to get in these situations, and it's okay. This happens. Sadly, it does happen. Like I say, more often than we realize, but it does happen. So give yourself grace and forgive yourself, um, and keep on loving. Forgive them. Like I said, because it's something that's in them. It's not truly them. It's an entity in them. It's a spirit in them that makes them act the way they do. Like I said, we've all been conditioned things to do certain things. We weren't born with certain beliefs. We were taught certain beliefs. So understand that point of it. If you can distance yourself, you should do that. Um, if you can, like I say, some people cannot be able to do that. But if you can, distance yourself from this environment so you can pour more into yourself, right? And understand that, like I say, even though you have all these things that seems like it's working against you, once you find peace, you start regulating your nervous system. You start, by doing this, start raising your vibration, your frequency, your consciousness. These, they're also monitoring spirits because they want to live in your energy, right? So once you overcome that and regulate your own energy, you start ascending spiritually. They'll start then monitoring and acting like you. But understand that energy cannot be duplicated. Your energy is your energy. And people will try to live in your energy, call them energy vampires, right? And they will try to duplicate your energy. So therefore, by you pouring more into yourself, you will change your environment. You will change your environment because these people, There's some people that are plants too, by the way, whether it be like you have neighbors monitoring in this system. Once you raise your frequency, like I say, family, friends, because you're a threat to the lies, because you're now a mirror to the lies. You don't have a mask on. You're being authentic to the lies, right? And you will raise your frequency, your environment's frequency, just by being true, which makes you a threat to the false narratives of this reality, right? And you can overcome it. You can. The main thing is not allowing those energies, those monitors, because or even gang stalkers, what they'll do is you might even hear certain things in your reality that is sounds like some things that you might have thought. You might have thought certain things, and it might be displayed in your reality. People, like I said, if you go out into the world, people might say certain things you thought, might have did. Just you have to change your thinking. Look at it in a way as like the universe is telling you to do that thing, right? Just don't react to it. Because when you react to it, you go to their frequency, their vibration, right? All they want you to do is be in that fear mode. That's it, right? So once you overcome that and live in your vibration, that is when all these things they start to simmer down a little bit. They don't affect you as much, right? Still there, still around, but like I said, just understand that you're a threat to the lies. You don't have a mask on. You're being authentic, which is a great thing, right? Be you. But it is the fact that when you do become this authentic, you truly start to live. So you can overcome these things. Understand it takes time. I've been going through this consciously for over a year now. This is a life journey. So look it up because there's plenty of stories about it. Don't just take my story for it. Look into it. Become more aware of it. Talk about it. Share it. So people can know about this thing because this happens, right? But the main thing is they want to deregulate your nervous system to keep you in a lower vibration, lower frequency. And a lot of these tales, because the people I was around, they were in the music industry. A lot of these signs, if you listen to music listen to the lyrics on a more conscious level, these artists they tell you within the music they're going through the same thing too. Like CeeLo Green, does that make me crazy? Possibly. Like listen to what it was saying. Mac Miller, his album Swimming. What was he swimming in? Eminem, 8 Mile Road. There's other artists that they tell you about it, but these are just some things off the top of my head, right? They tell us about this. This is normalized, right? Michael Jackson. All I want to say is they don't really care about us. And then there's a list to it. No, there's other songs too, but you can't overcome this, right? Government psyops, gang stalking, target individuals, right? It's for the chosen ones, higher conscious people, um, remote neural monitoring, the dues, direct energy weapons. You can overcome it. You just transcend your mind. That's how you overcome it. Don't allow those lower energies to bring you down to their frequencies. Live in your own. Regulate your own. Meditate, find peace somewhere. Go within. Ask yourself those deeper questions. Because the God in you is greater. The God in you is greater. Think about it takes multiple people to try to bring down one individual. So think about how great you are or individual is if it takes most people to try to take down one person. Think about that, right? Because they need that energy to feed off of. So understand that you can do it. You can get through it. Keep doing it and stay true. Thank you guys for tuning into this message. If you like this message, go ahead and like it below. If you have any questions, any deeper questions you want me to talk about, or that you want to share, that you liked, comment below, and also share this message, right? Hope you have a great rest of y'all's day. Y'all take care. Peace.